It's not often Star Trek does ghost stories, and when it does, it can be hit or miss. Just how spooky is this one? It's time to talk about, analyze, review, breakdown, and rant about Star Trek Strange New World's 4th season episode, The Griffin Incident.
Spoiler alert! Hit it!
Okay, here we go. We start with a voiceover by Kirk.
Okay, let me stop you right there. Am I the only one getting tired of us having far too many Kirk stories in the pre-Kirk series? I mean, don't get me wrong, Paul Weasley's alright.
He's no Shatner, though.
Shatner's a breed unto himself, dog. But seriously, I'm here for the adventures of Captain Pike. Why is Kirk always around? Shouldn't he be on board the Farragut or something?
Well, although you're right, McCluck, you're gonna have to grin and bear it, as this is gonna be an adventure with Kirk in it. He's on his way back from a conference and was hitching a ride with Spock and Lahan when they caught a distress signal from an uncharted region of space.
Well, that doesn't sound ominous at all.
The distress signal comes from the Griffin, a Federation ship that was lost 9 years ago, light years from where it is now.
That's not spooky at all, no siree.
And in true Starfleet fashion, the mystery deserves investigation. While all that's going on, there's clearly tension between Lahan and Spock.
How about that? Anyone else also tired of Spock's incredibly numerous romantic involvements?
Well, this little triangle of ours could be interesting, as Lahan also once had feelings for Kirk. Except Kirk's in a complicated relationship with someone with whom he had a child with.
Carol Marcus and her son, David. Oh, from Star Trek 2, The Wrath of Khan.
You know, despite my dislike of having Kirk around so much in this series, I do appreciate when they don't ignore significant milestones in his life, like this one.
Significant enough for him to have a gift for his son in his possession.
So nice to see physical toys haven't disappeared in the 23rd century.
Yeah! Somehow, humanity was able to repel the iPhone and iPad invasion from the clutches of their toddlers.
Well, speaking of sticking to significant milestones, Jim Kirk was never a Boy Scout, contrary to what he says in that scene.
Yeah. Well, I guess you win some, you lose some, Doc.
So, with all this relationship awkwardness exposed for all to see, and having informed the Enterprise of their whereabouts, it's time to beam on board the Griffin.
Okay, is it me, or was the transporter sound similar to the one from the Cage episode? You know, the first original pilot from the 60s? Don't think I ever noticed it before.
You're right, it was, and I don't recall that either. Nice touch. So they beam on board, and the ship has gravity.
Ha! Plot hole. Why would the ship have gravity if no other functions are operational?
Actually, our away team make a point of noticing that too as being odd.
Yeah, they fully expected heat, as they didn't beam with environmental suits.
Correct. They somehow expected some kind of life support.
What's more odd is that there are no bodies anywhere.
And Kirk hears what sounds like a baby in the distance, which nobody else hears.
Not even Spock with his superior ears?
No. Only Kirk.
Oh, this is going to be a spooky episode, isn't it?
Spooky it is. The distress beacon has power, but it's not clear where from, and as Spock attempts to touch it, power returns to the rest of the ship, albeit temporarily.
They've only got 1 hour of life support left.
So, they decide to explore the ship. The shuttles are gone, as are the escape pods, but no records of any of them having been used. No record of anything out of the ordinary, in fact.
People just left.
As they wander around the empty ship, La'an sees someone in the distance. Thankfully, the others see her too. A humanoid. She turns around, tells them she's been waiting for them, goes around a corner and disappears.
Right, I'm not gonna like this episode at all. Well, there's got to be a rational explanation for all this.
Hopefully.
Our crew retrace that ghost woman's steps back to a bolted door. They see traces of Starfleet phaser fire, along with Klingon and Vulcan weapons discharge. Spock concludes other people must have found the Griffin over the years.
So where are they, and what happened to them?
That's another mystery on top of the current one, McCluck. While La'an and Spock try to get the door open, Kirk hears that baby again.
Don't tell me he's gonna go on his own.
Okay, I won't tell you that.
But he is, though, isn't he?
Yes. He is.
Classic horror movie mistake.
Lucky we know he'll somehow survive this encounter.
As he gets closer to the sound of that child, Lahan touches his shoulder, asking if he's alright.
Okay, right there, that was an effective mild jump scare. But why on earth does Kirk not say what he heard? He clearly heard it, and not saying anything may put the rest of the team in danger.
But it's also a classic horror trope, and we have to have our tropes, right?
We do, Doc. We do.
Behind the bolted door is sickbay, empty like everywhere else. They find folded up empty body bags, and they're running out of time. The mystery's too big if they stick together.
Don't tell me they're gonna split up.
Well, it wouldn't be a horror story if they didn't, McCluck.
Yeah, sure, but you'd think they would know better. Even if they've never seen a horror movie, they are highly trained officers. You don't split up.
And Why are they running out of time anyway? They could just beam back to their shuttle and await the Enterprise to bring more people in and resolve the mystery at their leisure.
Well, it wouldn't be much of a spooky mystery if they did that, though.
True. Too many such stories wouldn't happen if people were sensible.
Including this one, it seems.
So Spock will remain in sickbay while the others head for the bridge.
And as Spock turns around, one of the bags falls to the ground.
Oh, that happens all the time. You fiddle with something and it eventually falls. No spooky goings on here. Right?
Those on the bridge and Spock in sickbay discovered the exact same information. Rose Harper, the head of security, reported numerous incidents all over the ship of crew members behaving oddly. Such behavior spread to the captain and the doctor, and eventually they all killed each other in various gruesome ways.
I don't like this at all.
Oh, it gets worse. The sickbay doors closes on Spock. He's trapped inside, and as he turns round, the empty body bags now have bodies inside them.
Oh, there must be some kind of hallucinogenic nerve gas or something throughout the ship.
We don't know that, Doc.
Bet they should have kept their gas mask on. As Spock examines what's going on, those body bags suddenly get covered in blood.
And one body actually sits up.
Okay, I'm out of here.
It's T'Pring.
Okay, this confirms this is a hallucination.
Could also be telepathic aliens trying to communicate.
Well, I've got a funny way of communicating if that's the case.
Well, we had something similar happen in a TNG episode.
That was the episode Night Terrors.
Right. Thanks, Mouse. Could be something similar here.
Guess we'll hopefully find out in time. Meanwhile, on the bridge, Lahan listens to Harper's logs, in which she suddenly calls Lahan by her name.
Another hallucination?
Could be.
Yeah, well, she decides to do the sensible thing. Leave the ship ASAP.
Kirk agrees, but there's a problem.
The shuttle has been destroyed.
Welcome back, Gigi.
Well, it turns out that being on my own was way worse, Commander.
So much for the away team leaving the ship and letting others deal with the situation, eh, Doc?
Well, at least that way they're properly stuck here.
So, Spock is trying to figure out why he's hallucinating T'Pring while Kirk and Lahan count their options.
Well, they haven't got that many.
Kirk's gonna try to send a more powerful signal from the bridge to any ship in the vicinity to come get them. But they need more power for that. So Lahan goes to engineering and asks Spock to meet her there.
But she doesn't know Spock is trapped.
More splitting up.
I have to say, Spock is the best person to have with you on a ghost ship. He's rational, looks for facts and evidence, knows T'Pring has to be a figment of his imagination, so it's little surprise that she would know things only he knows about her, for instance.
Totally agree, Doc. Shame he's stuck on his own then, eh?
So, Lahan gets to engineering, tries to boost the power, but instead gets another log from Harper.
And while she's focusing on that, the door opens behind her.
Turn around! Turn around!
She thinks it's Spock, so she doesn't.
Well, how ridiculous is that? We know she couldn't have got confirmation that Spock got any message from her, otherwise she would have known he's stuck in sickbay. And she also knows there are weird things going on, so why not turn around, even for a second?
So the story
I know, Commander. It's so frustrating when that kind of thing happens.
Thankfully, it's a friendly ghost as it just lays its hand on Lahan's shoulder.
And she doesn't turn around then?
No, she just holds the hand with hers, still thinking it's Spock.
So it's not a ghost then, it's corporeal and warm to the touch.
That ghost is Harper.
She's seen better days.
Meanwhile, on the bridge, Kirk hears a weird sound, goes to it, and finds the wind-up toy he was planning on giving to his son, wandering around. Oh, and there's a baby hand that reaches out from inside one of those consoles. Creepy.
He thinks it's David.
And in sickbay, as T'Pring helps Spock with the door, she somehow grabs his phaser and shoots him.
So much for this being a hallucination, eh, Doc?
Oh, I'm reserving judgment on that.
In engineering, Lahan gets surrounded by what looks like the entire crew of the Griffin, all looking like Harper does. And in sickbay, T'Pring decides to remove Spock's Vulcan side, which means cutting off the tip of his ears.
She what?
What the hell is going on here?
Maybe we'll get some answers as Pike and an away team beam onto the bridge.
Well, as long as they're not a hallucination.
Meanwhile, Lahan got off engineering.
How exactly? She was surrounded.
Unclear, but she's now in a corridor, gets in a turbolift, and asks to go to the bridge. But the lift keeps taking her to deck 17. A weird deck full of light drapes.
Well, they're not standard Starfleet issue drapes.
No, they aren't, Gigi, and Lahan can't get anywhere else, so, she goes exploring.
Well, of course she does. I guess there's never a Jeffries tube when you need one.
She gets to someone's quarters. It's Harper's, and there's another log there. which turns into a recording of La'an herself. All the hallucinations are really starting to get to her.
Thankfully, Uhura and Ortegas find her.
How did they find her exactly?
Don't worry, McCluck, I'm pretty sure these people are hallucinations.
So Kirk and La'an now have a joint hallucination.
There's precedent. They also Harper in the corridor at the start, didn't they?
And while that's happening, T'Pring, having cut both tips of Spock's ears, proceeds to move his heart to a more sensible human location.
Thankfully, Pike and Una reach sickbay just in time.
T'Pring disappears, but the damage she caused to Spock is still there. And so's the fact he's tied up to the bed.
What's real? What isn't, eh?
Back on the bridge, the Kirk brothers talk parenting and how difficult it is to be a father and have a Starfleet career.
Oh, that was such a sweet and frank moment.
I like the moment when we learn that their father also got trinkets for them when he came back to see them, showing Kirk has no clue how to deal with a son and tries to replicate what his dad did, even though he knows it didn't work.
Kinda sad, really.
Well, makes what Cisco managed to achieve even more impressive, eh?
Indeed it does, but that's like 100 years in the future. Right now, Sam hears one of his kids calling.
Oh no, he's infected too!
So, he's not a hallucination then?
He could still be. This could all be an elaborate subterfuge.
Or the away team is real and we should care about them.
Tricky decision, eh?
My money's on them being hallucinations.
In the transporter room, Uhura confirms she can only beam one person at a time. Ortegas is only too keen to leave, so she's the first, and La'an operates the controls.
Why La'an and not Uhura?
Could it be because Uhura's not real?
You do have to wonder why all the Enterprise's senior staff beamed over, including both the captain and the first officer.
In any case, the transporter goes wrong. Ortegas is about to die until Uhura beams her safely into the buffer. She then freaks out because La'an apparently had tried to beam Ortegas into herself, and then she runs away.
Very professional attitude from our communications officer.
Oh, it gets better, or worse really. Pike and Uhura rescued Spock only to bring him back to sickbay, where he's strapped to a bed once again, and even Una tries to get rid of her own Illyrian blood.
This is insane!
Still think they're illusions?
Actually, I do, and that's reinforced by the fact that Sam gets sucked into space, ripped apart by the vacuum of space. That was pretty gruesome.
And let's not forget the view screen isn't actually a window. What we saw happen couldn't actually have happened anyway.
Talk about traumatizing Kirk, though. Indeed. But he's far too invested in the delusion to realize any of that as he escapes into the turbolift. And while that's happening, La'an catches up with Uhura. But so does Harper, who slashes Uhura's arm. Except, is it Harper doing that, or La'an herself?
It's like an inception of hallucinations.
Thankfully, Kirk finds La'an, and he tries to convince her that they need to get to the transporter room. But La'an, having embraced her destiny, kills him.
What?
I know! I've lost track of what's real and what isn't myself now. It gets even worse in sickbay, as Pike says that he could stay on the Griffin to avoid his fate, and he could become the head chef instead. And then he proceeds to cut off his fingers. T'Pring reaches for another blade, as Spock recites a Vulcan meditation poem, which brings him back to reality.
But that reality is pretty gruesome too. Although T'Pring is gone, and so are Pike and Una, there are actual dead bodies in sickbay now, and they've been dead for years. And it looks like he cut the tips of his own ears.
And Kirk's not dead. Well, not yet anyway, as he drags himself away from La'an.
La'an's gone full Griffin.
And as she's about to deliver the killing blow, they get beamed back onto the Enterprise.
Oh, talk about good timing!
And it turns out Pike, Una, Sam, and all the rest who beamed onto the Griffin were just part of the delusion.
Point to me. So, they're safe, right? It's over?
Well, aside from the episode winding down and a few debriefs, yes, Gigi, the nightmare is over. Kirk is healing, well, physically anyway.
And that encounter has reinforced Spock's firm commitment to logic.
Okay, good. That's slowly sinking this Spock to the Spock we met at the start of the original series.
And hopefully ending all his romantic escapades.
We can't but hope, Doc. We can't but hope.
And as for La'an, well, La'an isn't gonna get over that experience anytime soon.
Well, why? Even after Pike's little ghost story pep talk?
Nope, not even after that. Something's happening to La'an, and I fear it won't be anything good.
And there's no explanation for what happened.
None. Sometimes mysteries remain mysterious.
The end. Well, that would have been a perfect episode for Halloween. And I loved it.
Even the fact there ended up being no explanation for what was happening.
Especially that. Star Trek has had a habit, some would say a bad one, of using technobabble to explain ridiculous, crazy things that are happening. So it was highly refreshing that they didn't go in that direction here.
And sometimes the unknown should remain unknown.
Exactly.
Well, what about the overuse of predictable tropes, separating the group, mild jump scares, the lot?
I think the audience expects some tropes when experiencing a scary story, and it depends how well they're used. Here, you can excuse a lot by the fact that our characters weren't really themselves, and who's to say that what they saw and did really happened? For instance, T'Pring didn't cut Spock's ears. He did. I thought they were very effective. Not scary, but definitely creepy, and the mood was truly excellent.
Of course, there are some weird inconsistencies that happen throughout the episode, but those can be explained as being part of the hallucination. And attached to that, all the wonderful character moments, especially with Kirk trying to figure out how he can balance his career and having a son, and a lovely moment between him and his brother. Yeah! Shame we know Sam's eventual fate, otherwise his demise here would have been so much more impactful.
His fake demise.
Yeah, no flies on you, Doc. You knew Sam and the others weren't real from the get-go.
Well, that's more an indication of all the weird stories I've seen over the years than anything else, McCluck.
I liked Spock being his most rational self, as he was trying to understand what's going on.
Rationality is the antidote to insane craziness.
You can say that again.
I'm worried about La'an.
Yes, poor La'an, and Ortegas for that matter. These are two original characters who don't appear in further storylines beyond Strange New Worlds, so their fates aren't sealed, meaning anything can happen to them.
And that's good. We need unknown tension. Or like when Una stabbed herself, or more gruesomely, when Pike cut his fingers off, although we knew that couldn't be real.
Well, we should also put Una in with La'an and Ortegas, though, because we also don't know her fate.
You're right there, Mouse.
If last week was a good episode, this one was excellent. Even though the sets were merely a redress of the Enterprise, the mood set by them, the creepy atmosphere, it was all excellent for what they were trying to convey. A really good episode.
Even if it had Kirk in it.
It was so sad when he was there on his own at the end, waiting for Carol to answer his call. You could really feel the loneliness.
That's 2 for 2. I'm getting pretty excited about this season. And the best part is, these being self-contained stories, anything can happen in the next one.
Let's hope this newfound quality remains high.
So, that's pretty much all we have to say about this episode. Do let us know what you think in the comments, and we'll give you the response you deserve.
Indeed, he's far too invested in delusion to realize any of... He's far too invested in the delusion...
Speaking of sticking to significant milestones...
I think the audience expects some tropes when experiencing a scary story.